The open world of Hyrule has a lot of locations to visit, some a lot harder to reach than others. Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at the hardest places to reach in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, whether they were well defended or just really well hidden. But before we dive in, we publish new content all week long. So be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Yoda Point Cave, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom has a lot of caves, some would say too many, and there's a handful that are more well hidden than the rest. Yoda Point Cave isn't very big, only holding a chest and a bubble frog behind some breakable rocks. But you can walk right by it without even noticing. It's found in the Faron region, a place where it's often raining, making it sometimes hard to see. The entrance is a small crack, hidden behind tall grass up above the ground level. Even if you had your sensor set to bubble frogs and lit up cave entrances at a cherry blossom tree, this one is still hard to spot. Korgu Cheday Shrine, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. One of the best shrine quests in Breath of the Wild is also one of its more challenging ones. To reach the Korgu Cheday Shrine, Link must brave Eventide Island. As soon as he gets there, he loses access to his armor, weapons, materials, and food, only retaining his Sheikah Slate and champion abilities. While gathering resources to survive the island's enemies, you must find and place 3 orbs and pedestals at different points to get the shrine to appear. This will be trickier depending on how late into the game you find this quest. Regardless, being stripped of nearly everything you've relied on up to this point is intimidating. The Highest Sky Island, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Some sky islands in Tears of the Kingdom are much harder to reach than others, due to them being far away from anything else and requiring you to have the necessary Zonai devices and battery power to reach them. After completing your first dungeon, you can find Wartsworth at Lookout Landing, studying a stone monument that fell from above. He then gives you a quest to track down other monuments found on various flower-shaped islands in the sky. If you'd like to visit the island that this one fell from, you can, but it takes a bit of effort. It sits above Lookout Landing at the highest point you can reach, around 3,000 meters. Naturally, nothing is close by, so you'll have to spend a lot of time and resources, depending on how far into the game you are, just to reach it. And there's not even anything up there. Hyrule Castle Sanctum, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. We know there are some proud players who can now speedrun straight to Ganon, but for most of us, reaching him in the Hyrule Castle Sanctum is a daunting task. Firstly, Hyrule Field is swarming with guardians. Secondly, the castle grounds are also packed with powerful enemies, many of which can annihilate Link. Trying to get through the walls to reach the center of the dungeon is certainly one of the hardest things to do in the game. That's not to mention the different type of difficulty that comes from not getting distracted by the castle's many secrets and its allure of treasures. Even saving it until the very end of your playthrough, it's a huge, sprawling location with some mighty fights. Gloom's Origin, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. In a similar vein to the Sanctum from Breath of the Wild, you have Gloom's origin in Tears of the Kingdom. Once you feel ready to dive into the chasm beneath the floating Hyrule castle, you'll be met by hordes of gloom-covered minions trying to keep you from Ganondorf. They all appear in large numbers, and there's a particularly annoying fight against a silver Lynel in a cramped location. It's not just that they can deal the Gloom status effect, there are also pools of this hazardous goop all over the place, making your path hard to traverse. Plus, at the end, before you reach Ganondorf, you have an actual battle against his minions, made harder if you chose not to complete the Sage storylines. Korok Forest, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. The Great Hyrule Forest is a mysterious place, and reaching the center where the Koroks and Great Deku Tree live is confusing in both games. In Breath of the Wild, the thick cloud of fog will return you to the beginning of the woods if you stray from a set path. You have to use a torch, following in the direction the wind blows its embers, which wasn't obvious to a lot of us. In Tears of the Kingdom, things are even more confusing. You can't enter to follow a hidden path like the previous game, nor dive in from above. You have to go in through the depths using the nearby chasm in the Menshi Woods. Ascending through a specific pillar will get you into the Korok Forest. Jooku Oo Shrine, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. At a certain point in the story of Tears of the Kingdom, after fighting Phantom Ganon in Hyrule Castle, you'll get a quest to find the 5th Sage Minoru. This eventually leads you to the Thunderhead Isles above the Faron region, now cleared of its storm clouds. However, there are many of us that were gotten the better of by curiosity. How could we see this huge landmass in the sky, shrouded in clouds, and not want to explore it? If you go there before the story dictates it, you'll barely be able to see anything in front of you. And naturally, the lightning strikes can be deadly. I still remember paragliding through this place, not knowing if I was heading towards land or if I was about to plummet to the ground below. Reaching the Jooku Oo Shrine at the end this way is harrowing, to say the least. Suma Shrine, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. The Suma Shrine is one of the more well-hidden in Breath of the Wild, with access blocked by a somewhat obscure riddle. Link finds a pedestal on the side of Deval Peak in the Gerudo Highlands, with no clues around it on what to do. Nearby on Mount Grenache, you can find a cabin with a logbook which states you must cast a cold shadow onto the pedestal's core. The pedestal glows every day from around 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., during which Link must hold a snowball above his head, casting its shadow onto the pedestal's core. Plenty of players were confused by what a cold shadow meant, if they found the logbook at all, and this just kinda made us all feel really dumb. The Apopz Lightroot, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Even knowing that light roots in the depths correspond to shrines on the surface, some can still be hard to reach. Case in point, the Apopz Lightroot of the central Hyrule depths. It's on an isolated spot of land with walls blocking it from all sides. Since you can't reach it by simply traveling to it from below ground like many others, the answer lies above. You can reach it by diving through the Hyrule Castle Moat East Chasm. However, that itself is well hidden, since it's inside a small cave on the river surrounding the castle that's easily looked over. Because the path to reach this light route was so secretive, it was probably the last one many players got. The end of the trials. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. By far, the hardest thing to do, in either game, is the Trial of the Sword from Breath of the Wild's DLC. To make the Master Sword even stronger, Link must conquer 3 sets of combat trials. There are 13 floors in the beginning trials, 17 floors in the middle trials, and 24 floors in the final trials. Eventide Island was merely a taste compared to the challenge offered here. At the beginning of each trial, Link loses access to his armor, food, weapons, materials, and, in this case, his champion abilities. Only by having perfected the ins and outs of the game's mechanics and playing it safe during some of the more difficult encounters can you make it to the final room, where a group of Sheikah monks congratulates you and fully powers up Link's iconic blade. What's a location from Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom that took a lot of effort for you to reach? Share your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you next time.